Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yeah, can hear you
Sure.
clearly. Yeah,
Great.
hi.
Hi. So let me introduce myself. My name is Vinay Kumar. I have been working with for almost 20 years in different IT companies out of Hyderabad. My educational background is that I have done my post graduation in management from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, IIM Ahmedabad, and especially for the past 5 years to 8 years, I have been working in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning, developing uh, various applications, especially in the financial domain, because I used to work with a company which creates the products for the banks and other financial institutions. And given that artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science based projects have become the heart of many financial applications now, I was given the charge of creating this unit and making different types of applications which were getting embedded in the solutions that we used to offer. Now, during this course of past about 5 to 8 years, what I saw is that while there is a great potential for applying data sciences, and now there is a good amount of overlap between data science and machine learning, and we will talk about that later. So while there is a great demand from the customers, when I was heading this unit here, we used to find that getting people who are trained in this segment or who are having the required skill sets, it was very difficult to get from the market. And we used to spend a lot of time in taking people and then training them internally. So that is one of the reasons where I have now taken up the responsibility, that if that was the problem I was facing, and in talking to my colleagues, I understand that's the problem that even they are facing. So I understand that there is a good demand for people who are carrying the required skill sets in data sciences, machine learning, and that's why now I have taken up the role of creating that pool of expertise which can be absorbed readily by the industry. So I'll share a brief presentation also with you, so that there are a few things you can see on the screen and it will become a bit more clear. So this is what I was talking about, that it's a kind of revolution happening in data science where you talk about a consumer application or a business application. More and more, you would find that whether you realize or not, there is something running in the backend which is based on the data science or machine learning. And many a times, this question gets asked that is it an old wine put into the new bottle? Is it the same thing as data analytics, which has been there for several years? What's so new about data science? Is it only a new name given to data analytics? The answer to that is not really, because data analytics, if you see, it is mainly deriving the insight from the past data. So, for example, if I have my sales data available, and if I want to know that how the share of a given product in the total sales has been increasing or going down, yes, that kind of thing can be obtained from data analytics. But extending this to future, that is using certain principle or the methods based on the statistics or machine learning, where we can use that data to say that what is likely to happen in future. And when we talk about future, we always talk about the likelihood, because whatever methods we use, one cannot be completely certain about future. So in data science, as if you decide to learn, uh, we will see that how we make those predictions and how do we talk about the different levels of confidence with which we can say that the predictions we are making is correct or not. So data science actually goes into future and says that can we really set some directions, or can we really make some predictions for different events? For example, how much would be the sale, or whether a customer which is walking into our e-commerce website, whether he is likely to buy our products or not, which are the parts in a machinery which are likely to fail, or that kind of thing is based on the that kind of thing is part of the data science itself. And therefore it is in this context that we see that a good amount of machine learning which is used for making predictions. Data scientists use machine learning for making predictions based on the data that we have. So machine learning is increasingly becoming part of the data science itself. Data science is being used nowadays in almost everything that you can talk about, even things like sports. You would be surprised to find that how several renowned football leagues are even in our own country in selection of the cricketers, how the past data is being used. So the data about the different parameters about their health, their performance in different tournaments, and how they perform in the top level club matches, or for that matter in the international cricket. So it's being used in the selection of the team, which will be taken up for the training of the final selection. So for example, if we are selecting say 30 or 40 members from which an 11-member team would be chosen. So that selection of the 30 or 40 from a wide variety of 400, 500 people that we have, a lot of data science is being used. And of course, the other things like route optimization in logistics, in agriculture, in determining that how much pesticide or how much fertilizer or how much irrigation should be provided to which crops. You name it, and you will find that data science is nowadays being used in every type of business. Not only every type of business, but even all these business units, you have different functions. Like you have a marketing function, you have a finance function, a strategy or human resources, or in the manufacturing units, running the production line. In each in different types of businesses and in each aspect of the business, the data science is being used. So for example, in marketing, it is being used extensively for customer segmentation, like whether you want to categorize some people as the VIP customer or a gold customer or silver customer and give them different types of attention or different types of rates. Providing, what kind of campaign should be aimed at which kind of customers. Many of these things are very extensively being used in marketing. Similarly, in the world of finance, the banks are using data science very extensively in deciding that whether a loan needs to be given or not. Earlier, it used to be a subjective decision taken by the loan officer, but nowadays, the groundwork is being done by the data scientists, and then only in the cases, only if our data science algorithms say that yes, this person can be considered for giving loan, then only the loan officer now takes over and does some further manual validation. Similarly, many of you who do the transactions through your credit card, once in a while you may have received a call from the issuer that, sir, have you really done this transaction? And especially if you travel abroad, these kinds of calls you will get more frequently. And so the question is that who is monitoring that, whether that particular transaction that you have done is a potential fraud or not. And that is being done by the data science algorithms, which is done where the bank or the credit card company, it has the complete history of all the transactions which you have done, which includes in which currency you have done the transaction, at which place you have done the transaction, what is the value of transaction, what kind of purchase you are doing. And if it is able to find something which does not match with that, then it signals that it could be a potential fraud, and that's where the executive from the call center calls you and finds out. Similarly, it is being used in human resources very extensively, just as I talked about selection of the sports people. It is being used for filtering out the applicants for calling them for interview. It is being used for assessing that a given HR policy, what kind of impact it is having or what kind of impact it may have on different types of employees, identifying through the data of different employees that whether how many of them are likely to leave, is there a possibility of attrition for those employees, and so on. So as we see today, that whether it is visible to our eyes or not. So for example, I talked about the loan decisioning. If you go to a bank and apply for, say, a vehicle loan, if you want to buy a car and apply for a loan, it may not be visible to you that how that decision is being made, and you may feel that it is the loan officer which is taking that decision. But actually, even before the loan officer takes over, nowadays, that some data science algorithm or some team of data scientists has built a system based on which the loan officer is saying that, okay, now this is the kind of people that are, whether he will even speak to you or not. Now that kind of decision is happening in the backend. So the question is that why are we talking about today? And that's the key part of it, because as I was mentioning that data science, the demand for people with data science skills is increasing very fast. The question is that why today? And there we will see that there are certain factors which are converging together today, and that trend is likely to continue. But before we go there, let's see what data science is all about. We talked about how it is different from data analytics, but data science is an approach to extract the meaning and insight from data. So nowadays we are generating a lot of data, and that is one of the factors which is making the data science as a very powerful stream today. So we have a lot of data available. Now the problem is to make the meaning out of it. So if we just move back about 20-25 years, the data itself was not available, and therefore the building applications which are built around a lot of data, I mean, that could be done, but that was not very meaningful at that point in time. But nowadays, as they say that the problem is not the dearth of data or lack of data. The problem today is that we are, drowning in data, but we are starved for information, which means that the meaningful things, it's not that easy to extract the insight from a lot of data that we have. And that can be done using the statistical principles, using some mathematical tools. So data science is about making, sense of data or extracting the insight from data by using certain statistical inference tools or prediction tools. And in the process, we also do a lot of data visualization, because then it becomes very easy for the human mind to comprehend. Data visualization is a very important part of the entire data science. As long as it's all given in terms of tables and numbers, it's not very easy for the human mind does not perceive or retain numbers that easily, but we are able to retain and comprehend the visuals very easily. So data visualization is a very important part of data science. How do we really present it to the company management or for whoever it is meant? So not only drawing the inference or insight, but also being able to present it to to the seniors in the organization or the decision makers. That is a very key part of the job of data science. And of course, to be able to derive these insights, you have to design an experiment, or you have to design that how that insight would be obtained. So a data scientist should also be knowing the different steps in how the experiments are designed. And we talked about getting the insight, and communicating that is also very important, because if we have drawn the insights and our customer or our senior management is not able to fully grasp what we're trying to communicate, then as a data scientist, our job is only half done. Many times you would be asked the question that, okay, what's the difference between data science and machine learning and AI? And one of the key differences is that as data scientists, we should be able to explain whatever insight that has been obtained, why that has been obtained, and how that is obtained. It is very important to be able to explain that. It means that you remain in the area where if an insight is being derived from data, the entire process can be logically explained. And why is that important? Is that because today, many of the models which are being extensively used in AI, especially the deep learning, those are called the black box models. It means that you are seeing that the results are coming very well, but why that result is coming, which factors are influencing that results, is very difficult to explain. It's not very easy to explain why we have obtained the insight as it is coming out. So those things are called the black box model. Those are normally left in the domain of the AI/ML, but since those things are becoming very important today, for example, deep learning, many of these deep learning models are the black box models. So because these are giving good results and becoming more and more important, I see a trend where even the black box models are being adopted by the data learning scientists, which was not the case earlier. And therefore, in this course, we thought that we should not limit ourselves only to those models which are explainable, but also we will give you an insight into some of these black box models which are being adopted by data scientists nowadays. So you will get to learn a few, some of these latest things in data science also. So while machine learning is only for the prediction, as a data scientist, machine learning is one of the tools which a data scientist would use, but there are certain other tools which need not really use the machine learning, and there are certain other skills that a data scientist requires, which may not be required by a machine learning expert alone. So there is a good amount of overlap, but there is a certain specific areas which are specific to data science, and there are areas which are specific to machine learning. So I'll not go into the definition of artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have broadly covered that. So if you see, as a data scientist, the different types of skills that you require and where it builds a bridge with artificial intelligence and machine learning, that is what is explained in this model here. So you would learn about how to process data, especially the large data. You will learn about data management using different types of databases, understanding what are the different types of databases available, what are the nuances of using one or the other. We talked about visualization and how data science can be used in enhancing the understanding of the insights or enhancing the user experience. As a data scientist, you should also be aware of the data protection laws, the data privacy laws. But we will not cover that in depth here because these laws actually differ from country to country, and there are different laws in different jurisdictions. So, for example, we have the GDPR law in Europe, which is not applicable outside the Europe. So, we will touch upon that, but we will not go into depth of that. And then, of course, the analytics part, which is the heart of the entire process. And that's where we will not limit ourselves to the traditional mathematical or statistical models, but we will go into a deep exposure on how data scientists can use the machine learning and other artificial intelligence enabled systems to be able to generate or create the insights. Now, at this point of time, I would like to ask some of you that what is your background and why are you really interested in data science, so that I comprehend what is the main objective with which you would like to join this data science course and what are the additional skills that you would like to acquire. So can you briefly let me know? Then I'll resume my presentation. So let's start with Ashish. Ashish, in 2 minutes, if you can just give what's your background and what is your main focus that you want to learn in data science. Ashish or Hemant, Ankit, anyone could go first.
Hi, Vilan. This is Hemant. Am I audible to you?
Yes. Hi, Hemant.
Yeah. So my educational background is like I am from industrial engineering and management. So I think that data science is completely about analyzing the data, right? And even as you said, like it was used in banks and many statistics and logistics were playing in supply chain industry. So I think that it is used in finance sector as well as most of the sectors that were in IT and even also uh, like what do you say, like even after many sectors it is there. I think that's it. I came to conclusion that it is mostly of analyzing the data with the previous information we have. I mean, with the old data sets
Yeah.
or what is the present trend going on likewise. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
generally,
mean, we were,
yes. So
yeah, mission
what I would
happening
like to add
to,
here is that
Mhm.
you talked about industrial engineering and then different um, other things that
Dom-
where data science is being used. So the data science as such, it is relevant for two types of people broadly. So the
Okay.
domain expertise also plays a very important role, because if you have to derive an insight from, say, in the area of logistics or in the area of agriculture,
Okay.
I'm just taking a few examples. So normally when we form a team of data scientists, it will have people will have the basic skills, but some people will be domain specialists. So for example, if you are working on an say finance company, there should be some people who
Mhm.
understand the financial processes very well and who understand the logic of the data science, that is how to make insight from the data, how to make predictions and so on. So their
Okay.
primary skill would be domain and the secondary skill would be data science skills. Whereas there
Okay.
would be other people in the team who will carry the primary skill as the data scientist. It means that they are
Mhm.
the people who could work on automobile business as well as finance business, because what they are experts in is certain skills in the data science. So their primary skill is the prediction skills and secondary skill becomes the domain. And in every team,
Okay.
you will find that this combination of the two people is the thing which actually makes a team succeed. So data science as a course is useful for people who want to become pure data scientists. That is, they want their primary skills would be making predictions out of data, and they could work in different domains. And it is also useful for people who are domain experts, and they can do a backward specialization into certain data science skills.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
Thanks, Eman. Thanks for sharing your
Thanks.
background
Yeah.
expertise. What about Vamsi?
Hello. Hi, Vinay.
Hi, Vamsi. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I was pursuing my master's in United Kingdom. I was, this question is in data mining, so I want to learn more about data science. That's why I was thinking to
Great.
start the
So you are
course data
doing
science
masters in what? Computer science?
and computer science with the specialization of data mining, data,
Okay, great,
artificial
great.
intelligence.
So yes, that would be quite helpful. Thanks,
Yeah,
Vamsi.
yeah, that's right.
What about Ankit? Ankit just left. Okay. What about Ashish? Ashish, you're able to hear us? Okay. So maybe Ashish is not able to hear us, or there is some issue. So that is fine. I was just trying to get a feel of what kind of background you have, so that you will be able to appreciate the remaining part of the presentation much better. You're able to see my presentation, isn't it, right now?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's sense.
fine. So I was
Yes.
explaining that what are the different types of skills that you need, and then why data scientists also need to learn about machine learning and AI ML and all that. So this is what is happening in the world today, that there are convergence of technologies, and we were asking the question that why data science has become so prominent, or everybody is talking about data science today. It is very important to understand that why, and is this trend likely to continue, or as it happens in many of the technologies, that some technologies get talked about for maybe 2 years or 3 years, and then after that it actually um, nobody even talks about those skills. Is data science also going to become like that? So let's see why data science today. It is becoming prominent because of the convergence of three technological factors. The one is, of course, big data. That is, it is all of us are generating a great amount of data today. So every time that we use a website, every time that we wear our Fitbit, or any kind of usage of the app-based or web-based application, we are generating a lot of data which can be used by the businesses. But it's not only human beings nowadays. Much more data is now getting generated by the machines themselves. So all the machines are having different types of sensors today. So say if you have a sensor in an agricultural field, it is measuring and transmitting data about the humidity, about the temperature, whether how much water is available, and lot many other parameters the sensors are sending from different locations. Similarly, if the sensors is fitted in, say, a fleet of cars or fleet of trucks, for example, if Ola wants to create a data science based model where we want to see that which car should be sent for maintenance when, and if I have a sensor there, I would be receiving the information about what is the mileage, what is the previous history of the maintenance, at which speed it has been running, what kind of, who is the driver, what is the history of that driver, depending upon different type of data which I have available. I can use them for making predictions. Some of these data elements may be useful for me in making predictions. Some of these would not be useful, but I don't have dearth of data at all. Okay. So I have available a lot of big data which is getting generated by human beings as well as by machines nowadays, and the data which is getting generated by machines is now increasing at a much faster rate compared to human beings, because IoT is getting introduced, or the Internet of Things is getting introduced, or the sensors are getting added to different types of machinery at home as well as in the factories. Second is the computing power itself. So if you have large amount of data, but if you don't have the capability to process that, that would not lead us anywhere. But fortunately, both of these things are happening together. So the computing powers have increased, and all of you are aware of the Moore's law, that our computing power is increasing by 1.5 times every, or it is doubling every 18 months, and that process continues now. And we are seeing that even in computing now, with the advent of quantum computing, these computing powers can increase many-fold going forward. Many of you would have heard about the quantum computing from Google, where they showed that whatever the supercomputers of today can do in 10,000 years, it can be done by the quantum computing machines in just 3 minutes time. So it is that kind of leap we are seeing going. So where 10,000 years of supercomputing versus 3 minutes of the quantum computing. So that's the kind of computing power is becoming available today. And the third factor is that different algorithms and architectures has become available, with which the insights can be derived. And these three factors are likely to accelerate in future. That is why we feel that the data science as a stream would continue to get introduced in several areas where it has not even found an application today, because we will get a lot of data from different types of devices, and the computing power is also becoming available. So if you can see in the two graphs which I posted here, we are likely to get a lot of the acceleration in the generation of data is going to continue, and the acceleration in computing power is going to continue. And therefore, data science, whatever we are seeing today, is actually the demand for data science-based applications at a small scale as well as larger scale is going to actually increase. And, this photograph I have put just to illustrate that when the changes happen, many times the speed of change surprises us. So when the automobiles came, you can see that within 13 years, and these two photographs are taken in the same street, in the same place in New York, 13 years apart from each other. On the photograph on the right side, you can see that there is only one motor vehicle. Everything else is horse-driven. And on the left side, you see that everything is automobile and there is no horse-drawn vehicle at all. So within 13 years, the entire mode of transportation changed. So when the technologies come, the changes may happen at a very fast pace, and we are seeing that same thing data science can do to different businesses. Now, when we talk about data science as a growing stream, on the other hand, we are also seeing that the other kind of traditional jobs are actually not getting generated at the same pace as it used to be. So in India at this point of time, and this data is even before the COVID, how long the COVID will last and what is the impact of that is not yet certain. But even before the COVID, we were generating in the economy about 5.5 million jobs. Whereas about 17 million people are entering the workforce. It means that new people looking for a job after their graduation or completion of their education is about 1.7 crores or 17 million every year. So while on the one hand, the jobs are not getting generated at the same pace, and this one shows you that how the new jobs are getting created in different industries. On the left-hand side, you see the 5-year average growth rate in IT jobs, which used to be 15% in 2013, has now come down to roughly about 5% in 2019. So even the IT and banking used to be the main job creators in India. There also, the job creation is still happening, but at a much slower pace. So on the one hand, the traditional jobs are not getting created, and traditional jobs, even in IT, are not getting created. On the other hand, we see the data about data science and artificial intelligence and machine learning jobs, where we are not even getting people who can, fulfill the requirements of the companies. So between 2015 and 18, the job postings for data science and AI/ML actually grew by 3 times. So on the one hand, we are talking about the slowing down of the job creation in IT, which has come down to 5% per annum. But certain jobs like data science and AI/ML jobs are increasing by 300 times or more. NASSCOM, which is the nodal agency for all the IT exporters, that has given the prediction that even in the IT industry, 40% of the people will have to reskill themselves or learn new skills. And what are these new skills? These new skills are in the areas of data science, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, that is IoT, machine learning, blockchain, etc. So even in the IT industry, there is an internal shift in the kind of jobs, and more people would be deployed in doing the data science and AI/ML kind of job. Economic Times reported a few months back that currently in India itself, there are more than 50,000 plus data science and ML jobs which are vacant due to lack of qualified talent. And this trend is not only in India, even outside. If you see the predictions made by the World Economic Forum and the European Commission and the requirements that we have in China, it all points into the same direction, that there are certain types of jobs where the requirements are increasing at a very fast pace. And at this point of time, I would like to talk about the concept of the price and the value, and how the demand and supply actually creates a price for different things. So for example, if you just take an example of water and diamond. For our life, for sustaining a human life, water is much more required and diamond is actually not required at all. But the price of water is much less compared to the price of diamond. And why is that happening? Because if the water is more valuable, it should be having a higher price compared to diamond, or for that matter compared to gold. But the price of gold and diamond is many times higher than water. And the main reason is the demand and supply. So the supply of gold and supply of diamond is very small because they are found in very small quantity or very small numbers. And that's why their price in the market is very high. Similarly, right now we are seeing a worldwide scarcity of certain skill sets, which is data science and artificial intelligence, machine learning. And that's why I feel that the price or the salaries that these kind of jobs will attract will be much, much higher compared to skills which are coming very common. For example, programming in Java or JavaScript. Some of these things which have become very common. The price differential will be there mainly because very few people are available and everyone wants them, and therefore just like diamond and gold, the salaries of the people who are into these kind of things will be substantially higher compared to the common skills. So what do we do in the courses that we conduct? As I started my discussion by saying that the very purpose of me coming into this stream is to be able to enable people to be ready for the industry, and that is what our endeavor is. Our courses are not theory oriented. Our trainers, including myself, are not all academicians or people who have just worked in the training institutes know, all of us have worked in solving the real life problems, and that is what we want to train people on. So our objective is to create the people who are ready to be deployed in the data science division or the AI/ML division of the of different organizations, and we make that possible by not just teaching the concepts to you, not helping you learn those concepts, not just helping you learn that concept, but also being able to see that how you can apply that in different projects. So we give you a lot of projects and assignments, and you learn many of these things very deeply. So that when you go for an interview, then you are able to answer all the questions which people from the corporate side would be asking, because they are not interested just in the theoretical grounding, which obviously you need to have, but also we want to assess in the corporates as to whether you are able to apply those concepts or not. And that is what you will learn through the projects and by learning from the practitioners. So at the end of the course, my objective is to prepare you so that you are ready to solve the industry problems and therefore get pass through the selection process in a project or by a company. And we achieve this by giving you the 3-layered approach or 3 layers of training. One is in the theory part of it. So you must know about the theory and the concepts behind data science. You must learn the technology of data science, that is how to apply the machine learning algorithms, or how to apply the different data cleansing techniques, how to do the data visualization. So all these are different technology, the tools or technology which are available. And then you learn how to apply that in the real business life. So our courses will be 3-tiered, and at the end of it, you will be knowing the theory, you will be knowing the tools and techniques, and you will be knowing how to apply those tools and techniques to solve the real life problems. So the expected outcomes, as I see that at the end of this course, you should be able to talk about data science confidently. And when we say confidently, and our objective is that if you are appearing in an interview, either with a customer or with a company, you should be able to face all the questions which get typically asked very confidently. We also understand that in a 2-month course, obviously, while we prepare you for certain type of things, it will also help you identify other areas where if you want to specialize, then this will form a good basis for you to learn further, to be able to apply the data science knowledge into different domains. So not just one specified domain, but how it can be used in different domains, because when you appear for the interviews, you never know that whether your customer is going to be from finance or from e-commerce. So the idea is that you should be able to apply this in different types of domains. So you can't really choose your companies all the time that, yes, I will work only in finance or only in e-commerce. You may get an interview from an e-commerce company. You should be able to face them also, as well as a finance company, or for that matter, a manufacturing or logistics or any other kind of company. So that's what we want. Now, during the course, what kind of support you will have, that it will not just be the online classes, but you will have the access to a lot of reading material which you would like to refer, or if you may like to refer them even after the class hours, that would be available. All the sessions would be recorded, and that will be available for you to refer to even later. So in case you miss a class, or if you want to refer to the recordings to get clarity on some of the things which you may not have been able to do during the class, you can always refer to those recording sessions. And all the materials that we use, for example, the Python notebooks or the presentations, all that would be accessible to you. And these things would be accessible not only during the course, but even after the course. So so that until you get into a job or until you feel comfortable, you may still refer back to a lot of the course material or reading material even after the sessions are over. And in the same way, since there would be a lot of exercises, experiments, and assignments and projects, we would ensure that you have sufficient support available when you are trying to solve these problems or handle the assignment. So if you have any problem or any confusion at a given point in time, you don't need to really get stuck and waste a lot of time. You can always reach out to us, and we have different forums for helping you out. So either you can reach us through WhatsApp or even online chat. So we provide you the support for in the assignments, experiments, and the projects, so that your learning is actually faster and you don't get enmeshed in some problem which you're not able to resolve. So the support will be always available. The trainers, I will be the primary trainer, and I have talked about myself. Other people who could come at different point of time. Sanjeet is my colleague who has done his graduation from BITS Pilani, and he's right now doing a PhD in IoT. And he has been associated with Accenture and many other companies. And Shubham is from NIT. He has worked as a research assistant in IIT Bombay, and now he works for a renowned company in the financial products. So that's what I wanted to share. If you have any question, you can ask me now. So Aditya, if there are no more questions from any of the participants, then over to you.
I think no. Please, Vamsi and Hemant, do you have any questions? Please ask him straight away now regarding the resumes or jobs. Any kind of questions you have, you can ask them. Else, we'll wind up the session for today.
Yeah, hi Vinay. This is Hemant.
Yeah, Hemant.
So, yeah. So, within 2 months of this time, is it able to complete the entire course? Like, is that sufficient to face the real-time exam? I mean, real-time or practical data sets that companies were giving?
Yeah. So the way that I see that the timeline of the course, although we have envisaged that it will be 2 months, what my expectation is that since our courses it will have a lot of experiments and projects and so on. We expect you to spend equal amount of time that you spend in the online classes, if not more, on your own also. Okay. Now, initially, I think that it can be covered in 2 months, because then on the what we have planned is, say, for on each working day, if you spend 7.5 or 2 hours in the class, and the equal amount of time if you're able to spend outside the class, then it becomes about, say, 4 to 5 hours of work put in every day. If you put in that kind of thing, then 2 months is a sufficient time frame. Now, from because the basic concepts you can learn pretty fast. Where you actually get to spend some time is in doing the actual things. So if you take an industry data set and try to solve some problem around that. So for example, if I get you a data set on say from medical science and say that, can you really predict that whether this person should be tested further for heart disease or not? Now, working on that data set, you require a lot of working to be done. As I see is data science is is more like learning swimming and cycling. So you can learn, thousands of books about how to swim. You can see the videos on YouTube from the best of the world champions in swimming and the gold medalist in Olympics. But when you jump into the pool, you are bound to drown. All these videos and all these books that you have read is not going to help you. You learn swimming only by doing swimming. Similarly, even in the data science, you learn data science only by applying the principles of data science on a real problem. So if you are willing to give, say, 2 or 3 hours even outside the classroom, then I am confident that we can do a very good job within a 2 months period. But as I was mentioning, that when we are doing this training, my objective is not to run it like a machine that, okay, after 2 months, yours and my association is over. You're paid the fees for 2 months. After 2 months, I am not approachable to you. My objective is not that. I stated in the beginning that my objective is to be, if I am working with Hemant, is Hemant really getting ready for industry or not? And therefore, if there is certain help required even after that, I would be personally available to you.
Yeah, got it.
My satisfaction is going to come from whether you are getting ready or you are achieving your objective or not. Okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Sure. Yes, Aditya, over to you.
Yeah, Vinay. That's all. Hemant, your doubts are clear, right?
Yeah, it's clear.
We can wind up the session now. Yeah, thanks, Vinay. Thanks for your demo.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Hemant, and thanks, Aditya.
Yes.